All right, today I am working on a 2015 Toyota Sienna 3.5. We're going to be replacing the water pump, and I mean, there is that little sucker, and it is hidden in the middle of nowhere. Needless to say, I don't think it will be that bad. If you look on all data, or Mitchell on Demand, I mean, they tell you to pull out the motor. I ain't doing that. It's not going to happen. I'm going to do it in the vehicle. I know what we might need to do. We're going to have to take off the motor mount for right here. This is the torque strut mount. So if you take off this guy, I believe that the engine shouldn't drop down. Your main supports are going to be in the bottom. You have your driver's side under motor mount. Well, you can't see it, but it'll be, oh yeah, there it is. So it'll be right there, and then you have another motor mount right over there. Worst case scenario, we might need to pull those off. So if you wanted to do the motor mount, now would be a great time. But mine are in great shape. The car has like 106,000 miles. The water pump went out, spraying coolant all over the place. As you can see, we have coolant all over right there. So I mean, for 100 miles on this motor, I mean, that's, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of blown away. Usually they actually go a lot more longer than this. But whatever. Only thing I've done so far was just pull off the cover. It literally just lift right up. They're just pushed in here. There's 4 contact points. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So other than that, so we're going to do that. We're going to lift up the car, put jack stands so we can be under the car and above it. That's how we're going to be taking off this water pump. You're going to be needing some 10s, 12s, 14s. I think a 21 millimeter for the lug nuts. But other than that, if you haven't already, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below if you have any questions. And hit that subscribe button for more upcoming videos in the future. And we're going to go ahead and start this video right after the intro. So I went ahead and took off the wheel. I don't think I need to show that part, but jacking up points, what I am going to show. So where I mainly jacked it up was right here at this notch, and then I put my jack stands on the subframe, because later on we are going to be needing our jack to support the motor. Typically, I'm going to be lifting it from the oil pan, but I'm going to have a piece of wood right here just to support that. It's not recommended to jack it up from the oil pan, just so you're aware. I mean, if you damage it, that's all on you. You can jack it up from the casing itself right here. If you damage anything, it's on you. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and start taking off some things right now. If you wanted to drain out your coolant, there's your petcock. I'm pretty sure this had a little splash shield, but mine's missing. Makes my life more easier. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take off 1, 2 10 millimeters, and then we have a little fastener clip. All we need to do is just push in right there until it clips, and then that will pop right out. All right, so coming up top, we're gonna go ahead and take off this mounting bracket. We are gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's it. So we'll have 14 millimeter bolts. Worst case scenario, we might need to take it off from right here and bolt it. But we're gonna go ahead and take off those 14 millimeter bolts. We can use an actual wrench right there, and then the rest, I mean, we can actually access it from a socket. So all right, so right here, there's a bracket that's right there. There's going to be 2 12 millimeters that are going to be holding down this bracket. I forgot to mention that we do got to take that off. So now that we have all of that off, let's go ahead and take off all these bolts. And then we'll take off this bolt right back here. And this should just slide right up on out. So next thing, what we're going to have to do, we're going to have to go ahead and loosen up this bolt right here, take it off, and then this bracket will come right out. Then we'll have better access to our little hose clamp that's right there. We are gonna have to pry this pipe out the way eventually, but not right now. That's gonna be going for the thermostat housing. All right, so next we need to go ahead and take off this whole bracket. So we got one, it's gonna be a second one right down there below the bolt that you can see. So right there, 3 right here. I think there's a 4th one. Oh, and then the 4th one is right there. So those are all 14mm bolts. I want to say you can get like a little offset. You can probably get a wrench that goes right here. I mean, obviously, like one of these guys, I'm going to be using a ratcheting wrench, so it makes obviously my life a lot more easier. But I do have an offset ratcheting wrench. These tools are by Icon. You can get these at Harbor Freight. So this one's the offset. So we can get that one, and then the other ones I'll be able to access with a socket and a ratchet. All right, now that we got that loose, this should come right out. It should, right? As long as there's no other bolts. There's one more bolt that's right down below. I'll go ahead and show that bolt. Just didn't see it right there. It's a little hidden. So we'll go ahead and take off that bolt that's right there too. All right, so now that we got that bolt out, it is a little bit tedious to take out. It took a really good minute to take that out. So we should be able to pull this guy right out. So we'll be able to wiggle this around. So we're gonna push down these 2 lines. So I can take off these 2 bolts right here. These ones are the longest ones, I believe. Just make sure that you don't mix them up. And we should probably be able to. We'll just sneak this guy right out. Looks like it's not happening, not with that bolt. So that bolt is in the way, so I think I might be needing to, yeah, so I might have to lift up the motor a little bit, but that actually might be a little bit tedious for me. So let me see if I can make sure you have the plate straight forward. So this bolt right here, I'm able to swing back the plate. I think I can sneak this guy right out. You're gonna have to get it in between the AC lines. And then there we have it. And as for this guy, I think we can just sneak it out all together at once. So I think I'm able to spin the bracket this way a little cockeyed, and all I'm going to do is push in this brake line and I'm going to sneak out that bolt. So that's what I'm going to do for that one. So I'm able to pull it out with the flathead. And again, we're just going to push in that brake line. And I mean, we're not really prying. We're just kind of just guiding it right out. If need to, you can wedge it in between the brake line. All right, there we have it. So we got out that bolt. So just wiggle it a little bit more, and then we should have it fully out. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and jack up the motor just a tad bit. So we got it out. I like to get multi out. Got a very long bolt. Let's see. What it is. So I mean, this bolt is bad. It's just very difficult. See right here. This bolt is super long. It's long enough. No, that's what I have. These right here. Short one right there. And this one right there. And then we got this out here. There's a bolt here, but there's really actually just who's it gonna be? No, but this one's not going to be. And here's a bolt station gonna be. But this one around here. I think a little bracket. I mean, doesn't look at this point. I mean, probably also probably also business. All right, so now we got take off. I'm just gonna take off. These are place. We got here. I'll put it in here. And we're gonna that. So we got this up here. Take this 10, get more right, let's do. There's another one, so we that. So we got 3 over here. There's a nut over here, inside, and outside there. And then that's it for that. And we have this one right there. Yeah, here. So what I want to do is I want to try to get the bolts on the bottom and then take off this one last, just because I can thread out the bolts faster on the bottom. So I'm going to take off this connector right here just because it might be in the way. I don't think so, but this is the oil control valve. Last thing I want to do is break the connector, or at least have it in the way. So that will kind of give us a little semi-clearance. So we got both hoses broken free, so we'll go ahead and just pry these right back. And I think as for this one, this hose, I mean, we could probably take it off right now. All right, so I got it mostly off. So now all we have to do is wiggle it out from that pipe that's right here. This is our last pipe that's in there. So we're just gonna rock it back and forth and just wiggle it up on out. So you're gonna go up and down and then back and out while pulling. If that doesn't work, then we're just gonna go ahead and pry between, there's a 14mm bolt, and then we'll just pry right up on out of there. All right, so we got it going. So as we're prying, I'm just gonna push it right here. We got that bad boy out. So again, here's the O-ring that holds it in. So I pried in between right here. Just make sure you be careful with this sensor. And then I pry it in right behind this little bolt right there. Make sure you pry it evenly. If you wanted to replace your thermostat, now would be a great time. You'd have these two bolts that hold it in. It's pretty easy to access. All right, so next thing, we're gonna go ahead and take off our 4 12mm bolts. Well, I'm just gonna most likely loosen them up for just the time being. So I'm gonna try to do it without taking off the belt. If worst case scenario, we need to lock up the pulley and so forth, but I don't think so. Well, hopefully not. All right, so we're able to get out the bolts. The pulley was starting to spin on some of them. So what you got to do is you kind of like got to rock it back and forth. Like you want to act like an impact gun. So you just rock it back and forth until it breaks free. If it doesn't break free, I mean, you could probably maybe put one hand on the tensioner or probably try to pry on it like a little bit. But as you can see, this pulley is really bad as it is. It's wiggling. So we know the bearing's already shot. So yeah, just so you're aware of that. So we're gonna go ahead and take off our pulleys. We're gonna have to take them off actually. They actually sit over, there's actually sitting over the bolts of that. So the tensioner itself is actually a left-handed thread. So left-handed thread means when you turn it when you turn it left, you tighten the bolt. But if you, it's you know how there's the saying lefty loosey, righty tighty? Well, this is the opposite. So that's what it means. So if you try to loosen it, you're actually tightening it. So if you want to loosen it, you need to tighten the bolt. So we need to turn it clockwise. And now it's this bolt that's right here that I'm talking about. Now this one is just a regular right-handed thread. So this one we can do lefty loosey. So we're gonna go ahead and release the tension on this pulley. And then that is a 14mm. So we're gonna go counterclockwise. So we're gonna spin this towards the water pump. So you can see right there. Well, I think I should have gave it a little bit more slack. All right. So take that off the alternator. Give yourself a little bit more room. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take off this idler pulley. Those are both 14mm. So this is how our pulley is going to look like. We're going to have a spacer right here, and then we'll have another spacer on the outside, and then we have our bolt. So just make sure you check that. Spin your pulley. This pulley is still good. It's not making any bearing noise, so save that aside. And remember, we're going to be turning this bolt clockwise to loosen up, to take off the bolt. So this one didn't have a washer, but a washer right here on the outside. And then obviously we had our nut. Again, as you can see, lefty loosey. You see that little thread pitch right there. Make sure so you can tell the difference. You can see how the threads are different. See how like the starting is on the one on the right. That one is righty tighty. So this one's righty tighty, lefty loosey. This one is lefty tighty and then righty loosey. So counterclockwise tightens the bolt, and then clockwise loosens the bolt. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and take off our belts from the water pump. I mean, that's actually, I haven't even touched the motor mounts yet. So kind of surprised. Thought I would be. So I'm gonna go ahead and unscrew these 4 bolts. I think we can just slide out the pulley, maybe from up top or up bottom, I don't know yet. Alright, so let's see if we can slide this guy out. Doesn't look like it. So we actually just might need that to hang around there. That's fine. We can have that pulley hang around it and we can work around that pulley. So we're gonna have to take off all those. There's 10 and 12s that are holding in that pump. So here is our new pump. So just so you get an idea, I mean, I'm just gonna be taking off the bolts. I can get an electric ratchet up in there, but yeah, so I mean, just so you get an idea where all the bolts are. So we're gonna have 10s right here, right here, right here, right there, right here. Oh, I think this one's a 12. So there's 112 right here. So 110, 110, 110, 110, 10, 10, 10. Then I think we have another 10 right here. Where is that? Yeah, so 10, 12, 12, 12. Again, this is 12. That's 12. And I think there's 3 12s right here. And then 10, 10. You can kind of tell by the bolt hole. You can see how some are bigger than the others. The ones that are bigger are going to be the 12s. But I'm going to go ahead and take those off. And then also, whatever you take off, just put the bolts in the old pump or in the new pump, and then we'll switch them right back over to the old pump. I'll show you exactly what I mean. So for instance, let's just take off this one for instance. All right, so this one for instance. So we're gonna get this bolt. We took it out from near the thermostat area, and I'm gonna put it right here, exactly where I took it out. So that will keep your bolts in line so you get the right thickness. Once we take off the old one, we're gonna go ahead and switch these bolts over to the old one again. Just that'll help preserve, or that'll make it more easier for you to switch over everything. All right, so I'm going to be accessing the other bolts from under the vehicle. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. All right, so we got all the bolts out. It's already dripping out the coolant. I mean, as you're taking off the bolts, it's gonna start leaking coolant, so make sure you have your catch can. I'm gonna let it drip out most of the coolant, and then I'm gonna go ahead and pull it right out so I don't make too much of a mess. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and pull out the water pump. In that time being, the water pump just fell down on its own. All you have to just kind of do is just wiggle it out or pry it out. All right, so we'll take out the pulley with it, I wanna say. How can we do this? Blade, it broke. This is part of the water pump. Actually, I can see more fan blades inside the system. All right, so let's just see. Should slide right out. It has no fan blades. Huh, that's weird. So let's see if we can pull this back. And then we'll swing it right over, I think. No? Maybe so. Oh, there we go. Yep, all the fan blades are gone. Literally. I've never seen a water pump that bad. Well, guess I gotta be chasing out some fan blades. I got 4 fan blades out. I know there's 3 right there, but there's actually a 4th one that fell on the floor. I can't find that. There's 2 more fan blades that are in the system. I tried looking for a little while. I can't find anything, but I mean, I don't think it's gonna go back into the pump because everything's getting stored down there. Now that can affect the cooling performance, is what I'm kind of stressing out about on that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take off the upper radiator hose and see if I can find that in that. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and deal with that with the upper radiator hose. I don't think I'm gonna be able to find it, but yeah. I already tried blowing some air through it, nothing. I even know forcing water in it won't make too much big of a difference, but yeah. All right, well, anyways, let's just get back to this. So, all right, for the gasket, we're gonna go ahead and pull this back. Let's see this real quick. Gasket's still good. Still not bad, but we already got a new gasket, so we're gonna replace it. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and clean up our area, and then once we're done cleaning up our area, we're gonna get our new gasket and start mounting up everything. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spray brake cleaner on a rag or whatever's left. I'll get some more brake cleaner, and then you're just gonna wipe down the mating surface. If it is pretty bad, you might need to get a brass brush and clean it out. So I'm gonna do all that for that, and then see how all that little debris and all that stuff, we're just gonna clean that up so there's no imperfections or anything like that. All right, so with your new gasket right here, obviously this is how it's gonna look like. You need to make sure it's a metal type. Do not, and I mean do not use a fabric type of gasket. You have to use the metal one on that. So if you're using a fabric one, then go ahead and return that sucker, because yeah, you're gonna have issues. And I mean, just get the metal one, the same one as the dealership. The one that I came with, I got from AutoZone, and it came with the metal one perfect, and it comes with the 2 O-rings of which you're gonna actually need, so which is great. All right, so now let's go ahead and insert this guy back in, and I think it should just set itself in there. If it doesn't, well, kind of screwed on that. So that doesn't set itself in there, but I think I'll just go ahead and just insert this in with the gasket. All right, so we're just gonna leave those extra 2 pieces inside the block. Like I said, I already talked to the customer. There's no way of getting them out. So I mean, eventually, if it does end up making noises, that the customer will have to take off the water pump. But at least he can use this video as a demonstration on that. And if you people come across this too as well, just so you're aware, you know, I just want this to, you know, be as a result, like just in case of what you came across. All right, so don't forget your pulley. We're gonna have to put our pulley in there. Now I want you to be aware of this. So what we're gonna go ahead and do, I'm gonna make some marks on this pulley so that we can make it easy when we tighten up the screws. So let me get my 4 screws. I'm gonna just do 2 screws. So we'll do 2 screws right here, just because of where the pulley's at, and it's gonna make it pretty tedious. I don't know how this might go in. It might be a little bit difficult. I still haven't taken out any of my motor mounts, so that's a great sign. I'm able to do it with the tools that I have. All right, so right there, let me just get these bolts right in there. And the reason why I'm doing this is just, we're gonna mark this up so we can at least thread in the bolts in by hand, so at least we can have an idea where the bolt's at. So let me get a pen real quick. All right, so here's a whiteout pen. So what we're gonna go ahead and do, we're just gonna mark this up just so you can see. So when we put this back together, that we have some sort of, you know, kind of like a little identification of what's going on. All right, perfect. So we got that going on. All right. So we'll just let that dry up. I'm just gonna go ahead and take off the bolts. All right, so let's go ahead and drop this bad boy in. I want to say maybe I can do it. I could slide in the gasket. I don't know if I should put in the gasket in right now. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. So we're gonna go in nose diving in first. And then at the same time, I'm just gonna push this AC line back. Don't force this, just let it do its thing because we don't want to damage the mating surface. So now we're gonna bring it down. This is actually a lot more easier to put in than take out. All right, cool. So now that we got that, I think we're gonna go ahead and put in our gasket. So let's see. And don't bend the gasket. All right, let's see. Slide right in. Let's see, I'm gonna try sliding it from here. Well, that'll work. So we'll slide it in this way, and then we'll work our way down, and then voila. So once we get right there, we'll just move it all together, just like that. Now we're gonna start bolting it up. All right, so remember how I told you that we moved every single bolt? Also, there was like 2 bolts that came from the thermostat housing. So that's the only 2 bolts that you're, well, 3. So we got 1 nut and then 2 studs right there that we're not gonna be taking off. And so pretty much just as a little reference so you guys get, I believe these are 8 foot-pounds, and then the little the M10s are the M8s, so these little small ones, those are going to be 8 foot-pounds, and then the other ones, they are going to be 15 foot-pounds. So just the 12 millimeters are 12 foot-pounds, and all the other ones are 8 foot-pounds and that. So 8 and 12. So 12 millimeters are 15 foot-pounds, 10 millimeters are 8 foot-pounds, just so you're aware, so you guys don't mess that up. And actually you need to put some Loctite on it. You don't have to. I mean, for the big one, the M10s, you don't. I mean, from The 12 millimeters you don't, but for the little small ones, or wait, maybe I might be tripping. It might, but I see green Loctite. That looks like Loctite. That's for the oil. And then we have for the cooling. Yeah, see, there's some that don't even have the Loctite on it. Let's see this one. No Loctite. No Loctite. It's these two that have a Loctite on them. These two ones that are dotted blue. So I think those ones I'm going to put Loctite only on those. And then the rest I think should be fine. Was it this one? Yeah, even this one doesn't even have Loctite. So, which is kind of weird, but I don't know why. But, and then also these are marked blue. So, just so you're aware. So I'm going to put these two ones right here. So there's 4 bolts right here, and then these 2 that are right here between the other 2. So the only ones in the bolt, we're going to mark those with Loctite. We're going to put some Loctite. You can use orange, use green. I'm going to use blue because that's what I have right now at the moment. And then make sure you clean that up. But we're going to put those ones last. So we're going to start up with, well, however you want to start it, that's up to you. But yeah, so 8 foot-pounds for these and then 15 foot-pounds for the 12. So let's go ahead and do this. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put on the thread locker. Now, what you need to do is that clean up your bolts, and then you need to make sure that you shake the bottle for about like 30 seconds. And we're just gonna put like a little shot just right there, and then that's it. All right, so we got all the bolts tightened down. All right. So now we're gonna go ahead and put in our pulley, and then we're gonna go ahead and spin it around. So now once I get the pulley all up and said and done, There we have it. So at least we can get our alignment marks on there. Then I'm gonna start one bolt from the bottom. All right, guess it ain't happening from the bottom. It's gonna have to happen from the top. All right, so for this pump, what we're gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna go ahead and get these channel locks because I need to tighten this bad boy down. Can I get it between the pulley? Oh, I guess not. So I guess it's gonna have to be right there, which is fine. This probably might be one of the most difficult pieces. Well, trying to line this bad boy up. Might have to go from down below to do it. All right, so I was able to get it on there perfectly fine. Way more easier up down there than up here. So let's go ahead and tighten that bad boy up. All right, so now that we got that tightened down, now let's go ahead and put in our thermostat housing. Oh, before we put that in, just so you know, you can get this from AutoZone. Part number is 77519, as you can see right there. So these are channel lock. These are great for pulleys. Keep this. If you couldn't take it off in the beginning, you could have used this. But yeah. All right, so now what we need to go ahead and do is we need to pop off our O-ring. This is the old one. You do not want to reuse this. Because the last thing you want to do is take this guy right off and have a nightmare of this sucker leaking. So here's our new O-ring. So we'll just go ahead and overlap this guy. Make sure it's not twisted in there, so spin it right around. So when you spin it right on there, it'll kind of bind up and it might stick out. So we're gonna go ahead and lubricate. So you can either lubricate this or put silicone on it, but I'm just gonna add lubricant. All right, so right here, I don't know if I was recording that O-ring when I put it in, but make sure that when you put it in that it's not twisted. And I'm gonna be using dielectric grease to lubricate the O-ring. And so forth. So you can either put silicone, but I'm not gonna really put silicone on this one. All right, so now that we got that, all right, so we're gonna go ahead and put on the belt tensioner pulley. Now remember, lefty is tightening up the bolt. So we're gonna go ahead and just tighten up that, and then we're gonna put up the idler pulley too as well. So for right here, this is the washer for the tensioner. So remember, there's a little top hat, so you can see that, just in case of your guys' drop. So I don't think there's a right or wrong for this. They both look the same. So we'll just slap that right on. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and install our belt, but just so you're aware, here's the belt diagram. Let me get that flash right off. So here it is. So just so you're fully aware. So get that down. You got it. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and install the belt. All right, so I fed most of the belt all the way around. Now we're gonna go ahead and start releasing the tension. So this might be semi-tedious. This coolant hose up the way. We're gonna go ahead and feed it. All right. All right, so pay attention to your grooves. Make sure that they're all inserted in the belt. If they're not, then you're going to be needing a new belt pretty soon. All right, so we're all set and done. We're all grooved in. And now we're going to go ahead and put in our thermostat housing. Lubricate your O-ring. I already replaced it. And then lubricate it with dielectric grease. And same thing for your thermostat housing. Lubricate this inner port right here with dielectric grease. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put in our thermostat gasket housing. If you have silicone, I would just recommend to put like a little dab to hold this in place, but unfortunately I'm missing mine silicone, so at least we can just hold that into place. Hopefully I don't have a hard time. If I do, then I will actually go get the silicone itself. So make sure it's pressed in there. All right, so again, I'm just gonna go ahead and lubricate just some of the gasket with some silicone. Just put a couple dabs here and there. Now this is just to hold the gasket in place. You can use any kind of silicone. I use Permatex. So it's in there. It looks like it's holding it in pretty well. Oh, snaps. The belt came loose. Or must have not noticed the belt like that. All right. Let's go ahead and add this pipe. So I'm going to start off with the little lower stud first, and then I'm going to work my way in. We're going to guide in the bypass hose. I'm going to start feeding it. And then as for this white pipe, just make sure you just wiggle it in. Don't pinch it in. Don't force it. Just wiggle it in. All right, so now we're going to start screwing in our bolts. All right, so we got that in, and we shall put in our hoses. All right, so we got that in. I'm gonna go ahead and put on this hose clamp. We're gonna put on this bottom one. All right, so we got that in. So now, before we put anything else, we need to do a pressure check. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is add coolant to the system and then pressure check it. All right, so basically what I did is that I opened up the bleeder screw right here. That's a size 10 millimeter. And then I filled it up from right here. So that really sped up the process on that. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this up. I just didn't show that part, but I added 2 gallons already so far, but I know I gotta add a little bit more just because I know this system was completely dry. So we'll go ahead and tighten it down. Now these, you don't need to tighten down like crazy. I would say, you know, get the torque spec, but I do it for a little decent size. I want to say 8 to 10 foot-pounds. I want to say like 8 foot-pounds. 6 to 8 foot-pounds is what I torque these guys down to. All right, so we're gonna get a pressure tester. All right, so here's the tool that we're using. Part number is 940427. You can get this at AutoZone. We used adapter number 9, and then obviously we got to get the tester itself. So we'll just pull this right out. And so once you're just gonna push this down and spin it all the way down. It's like a radiator cap, and then we're gonna go ahead and pump it. Now you can pump it without the fluid in there, but it's just, you gotta really pump it. So with fluid in there, it's way more easier. So we're gonna go ahead and add pressure. Think I got a leak. Or no. I might be crazy or something. I just gotta double check. Make sure nothing's leaking, but I like doing it anywhere from 15 to 20 foot-pounds, just because in case if the car gets overworked. So obviously it's never going to get near no more than 15 foot-pounds, but I'm going to leave it at 20. Leave it for about 15 minutes, about like 10 minutes they say. But if it starts dropping right away, as you can see right there, we just have it shy under 20. And if it starts dropping within like 10 minutes, then we know we got a leak. Then you would start hearing where the coolant's coming from. That's one thing why I like using having the fluid in the system, because you can kind of see where it's spraying from. I know there's like some wetness, but that's when I had the petcock open to drain it. But I don't see anything draining at the moment. But yeah, we'll get right back to the video. So far it looks great, so I think we're golden on that. But we'll let it sit for about 15 minutes. All right, so I let this sit for about an hour, and then as you can see right there, I mean, it barely hairline moved for about 1 hour. That's not bad at all. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and release the pressure. I mean, you don't have to do this. You can let the car run too to build up pressure, but this is just a faster way. I had to let it sit for an hour because I got carried away with that job. So yeah, so just release it pretty slow. Don't release it too fast, and then I'll get right back to the video. All right, so we are going to be putting in our bracket. So obviously we have our bolts. So we're going to take off the 2 longest ones right here. so forth. All right, cool. I think, should I even leave this one in there? Well, we'll take that off for right now, but obviously we gotta worry about that later. I might have to lift up the motor a little bit like last time. Let's see how I did this. So I'm gonna start off from over there. Push back the pipe a little bit and then work our way to over there. And voila. Now this is the fun part. It's the part that I hate the most. If it came out hard, it's usually gonna go in hard. So right here, I don't know if you can see that. I'm going in, so between this little small line and then this upper line right here, I have the bolt going in there. I want to say that I can get it in there. I want to say. So let's see if we can get it in there. Pulling back these AC lines back just a tad bit, but not a lot. At the same time, I'm trying to wiggle in this cable. All right, so I lifted up the motor just a hairline just to see if that might help out, and it did. All right, so lifting it up did help it tremendously. And then all we have to do is just get that bolt right in there. So we're gonna push the brake line out the way because obviously that sucker's in my way. And then the AC line, we're gonna just go ahead and lift up the bracket. And then, yeah, so that helped out. All right, so now we need to get our gold shiny bolt. We're gonna put that one in there too. So that's gonna be going through the brake line. Or the AC line, I'm sorry, not the brake line. All right, so far so good. That's not that bad. It was actually a lot more easier going in. We're gonna finger tighten all of these first. You just kind of want to semi-start a thread. And then the rest is pretty much all history at this point. So now we're going to go ahead and put back on this plate and this connector. You could either put this on now or later. I'm just going to go ahead and put it on now. So we'll go ahead and put this guy right back in. So now we're going to go ahead and put this guy right back in too. So go ahead and take off these bolts. So we'll put it in, sliding in first, the torque mount. Now if you're having a hard time putting it in, what you can is put like a little grease on it. All right, I mean, pretty much that's it. I mean, there we have it. So I already added 2 gallons of coolant. Needless to say, this complete system was empty. So what you're going to go ahead and do is you're going to top off the cooling system, open the bleeder screw that's right here. That's a 10 millimeter. Until you see all the air pockets, it's gone. Obviously, coolant's going to start leaking out. And then turn on the car with the heater on full blast. And if you have a scanner, pay attention to the temp sensor. Just make sure it doesn't overheat. Or I don't know if the gauge is correct on one of these, because there's some cars that even though it gets halfway and it starts going over past the halfway, the car's already overheated and blew the head gasket. Some manufacturers are different. It's so dumb. All right, so bleed out that. Once you start getting hot air, you know everything's working perfectly fine. Bleed out all the air again. Just want to make sure you're clear on that. And then once it cools down, make sure that the radiator hose is nice and cool and you can squeeze it, and then go ahead and release, open the radiator cap and top off as needed. Then obviously we're going to add our little plastic cover, add the 2 10s, and then for this little plastic clip, so you know how to put it in. So you push it right back like this, and then you just go ahead and insert it and then push down just like that. That's how that locks. Then you're going to go ahead and put on your lug nuts. You're going to tighten down in a star pattern. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, I mean, if this video helped you out, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below if you have any questions. And hit that subscribe button for more upcoming videos in the future. And thanks for watching.